Hello, I'm jashykins, and welcome to another little vlog review, this time of the Doctor Who episode Death in Heaven. And even though, I'd like to have a nice cheery appearance for this, it was not a happy episode. It's like, yeah. Danny Pinkman has fans divided over whether he's a good character or whether he's not. I personally like the character. I like him. And how his storyline ends, it is heartbreaking. At the end of last episode, the cliffhanger was he going to push the delete button? Was he not? It doesn't really seem like he did. Or at least his little activation switch, like in the center, needed to be activated. So I'm assuming he didn't, but I don't think we ever found out. But if something in the episode clearly said yes or no, and I just missed it for some reason because I know more on, comment below, and yeah. And the storyline is basically resolved by him sacrificing himself. He's a soldier. He has fought. So, yeah, and he has a burden that he did something wrong, hence he stopped being a soldier. And, yeah, that's how, so he sacrifices himself, and before... Yeah, no, I'm going to talk about that during the next part, but yeah, and he had the chance to come back and have another life, have another chance at a love life with Clara Oswald, but he didn't, and instead he chose this boy which he killed. I believe it was shown sort of during flashbacks last episode, and so he made the sacrifice again of staying dead and just bringing back the kid that he knew deserved life more than him. That, I think, was his final act of trying to get redemption. It's like, shit. And of course, at the end, Clara doesn't tell the Doctor. They sort of both pretend that each other's got what they wanted, that the Doctor's found Gallifrey, that Clara is engaged to Danny. So yeah. And this episode was very much full of emotion. There was action, but it was much more emotive. I mean, there was a nice action scene on the plane when Missy had her escape, but I must say, I really fucking hated that the girl with the inhaler, she died. It seemed, I wanted, not lots and lots of her, but, I wanted more of her than one episode. Actually 2 episodes. It's like, I need a little bit more because she was seeming to grow, and I thought there was a chance of development. But yeah, anyways, there were action scenes there, but the majority of it really hung with emotions, hung with Clara and Danny. It hung with the Missy and the not Missy and the Master, yeah. Missy and the Doctor. It hung with these two relationships and how they interconnected one with the other. And, it turns out that it was Missy who gave Clara the phone number to start her connection off with the Doctor. So that was resolved. And yeah, yeah, it was all these, like, the Doctor hates, Missy, but at the same time, he likes her. He likes their competition. He doesn't want to kill the Master. Hell, in Tennant's era, when the Master died in his arms, he didn't like that. He was saddened. So there's definitely a very complicated relationship with Missy and Missy and the Doctor. Real professional Josh, yeah. And I just like the emotions. Could there have been more action? Yes, but I like what we got. A very emotive episode that tied up sort of storylines. And finally, this was a sort of zombie episode. I sort of think of it as like, there wasn't a Z Nation episode this week, so my usual Friday night fix of zombie wasn't there, but Doctor Who delivered. It was because they used lines of, the dead outnumber the living. How do you fight something that brings back the dead? That, unending army, basically. It's like you just go home. That was the Doctor's view on if the zombie apocalypse came up. Just go. If they harm themselves, just go. So, yep. And if there was the morgue with Danny Pinkman waking up as a Cyberman, there was rising from the graves, but instead of, their usual interpretation of zombies, it was Cybermen. So yeah, it was definitely an interesting episode. And my final thoughts of the Doctor Who episode Death in Heaven, which is of course also the season 8 finale. It was heartbreaking. This episode was really heartbreaking. I was watching with my dad. It was one of the few times he'd watch something with me, so I was like, oh, okay. And so I don't like to cry in front of anyone. I really, really don't. You could be my bestest friend, and I would not want to cry in front of you. And so I'm having to hold back tears, I'm trying to hold back all these emotions of the Doctor not finding Gallifrey, but not telling Clara, and Clara losing Danny again. I think I would probably count as a third time. Losing Danny for a third time, but not telling the Doctor that, she wasn't left with Danny, but with the boy she has to fight the family of. And so I'm like holding in all these emotions of those things and other things in the episode. And Santa. Like, the credits start just a little bit, and the credits play, and there's the Doctor Who theme. Do we do whatever. And then, like, Santa comes and, like, hey, what do you want for Christmas, basically. And I totally started laughing and losing my shit. Like, what the fuck? And, in front of, my dad, I don't like to use the F word because he reacts extremely negatively. So I was trying to hold him back, going, what the fuck? Holy shit. And I guess Nick Frost played Santa, but I could not concentrate really on anything for the span of a minute or two. So that was highly amusing. I was like, at least even though throughout the whole episode they tore my heart out, at least they ended on a high note. And I have been Jashykins, owner at jashykins.blogspot.com. If you go to my blog, you can see vlog reviews like this, and also the first ever Jash Talk special, as well as the first drunk podcast I'll be doing, is going to be happening hopefully this Saturday. If not, you can keep alert to my Twitter at jashykins to see how that changes. And I'll be reviewing with my co-host and 2 guests the latest season of Doctor Who. So if you want to, hear my opinions on that, wait till this Saturday. Hopefully that's when I'll be able to get it out. Yeah, and it's on my other YouTube channel, Josh Talks, so, just keep lookout for that, because there will be more Doctor Who. Omar, my co-host, is British, so, Whovian. Keetor is awesome and a Whovian, and Jim B is very, very knowledgeable on even classic Doctor Who. He's basically the biggest Whovian that'll be on the podcast. So, and if you go to my blog, you can see where else I am on the web, on the sidebar thingy, and go to someplace and on, say hi. And if you're watching this on YouTube, in the description you can go see a link for donate your account. If you donate your Twitter and or Facebook accounts to my campaign, thank you very much, and goodbye.